Ethan Cole never liked attention. As a human engineer stationed on the alien world of Valoria, he preferred working in the shadows of machines, not under the eyes of royalty. Yet tonight every eye in the Great Hall was on him. Thousands of aliens, tall, elegant beings with silver skin and glowing eyes, stood in perfect silence as the Queen herself entered. The air shimmered with golden dust and strange lights followed her steps like stars moving with her will. Ethan swallowed hard. He was just supposed to fix the translation system on the Queen's diplomatic table. Nothing more. The human delegation from Earth had already warned him. Do not speak unless spoken to. The Queen's language has sacred words that carry ancient power. But his nerves had turned his hands cold and his mind blank. Queen Sereth of Valoria stopped near him, her long gown whispering against the marble floor. She looked like something made of light and shadow, both beautiful and terrifying. Her golden eyes glanced toward Ethan for a second. He bowed quickly, trying not to meet her gaze. She spoke in her native tongue, her voice calm but deep, like music from the ocean. Ethan's translation earpiece buzzed, but the signal glitched. Her words came out as static. He panicked. The other aliens looked at him, waiting for a response. His nervous hands adjusted the translator, but instead of replaying her sentence, it repeated a local greeting phrase he had practiced earlier. The problem was he said it in her language out loud. The entire hall froze. He had meant to say, "Honored one." But the translator had slightly changed his pronunciation. In Valorian, one tiny tone could change meaning completely. Instead of "honored one," he had just called the Queen, "my life bond." My wife? The silence that followed was unbearable. Every alien stopped moving. Even the air seemed to stop flowing. Ethan's stomach dropped. His heart raced so fast he could hear it in his ears. One of the guards drew his energy spear and took a step forward. Another hissed a warning. Ethan realized something terrible had just happened, but he did not know what. Queen Sereth slowly turned her head. Her glowing eyes locked on him. A faint shimmer of energy rippled through the air. The lights dimmed around her. For a long, painful moment she said nothing. Then, to everyone's shock, the Queen took one step toward him. The guard closest to Ethan lowered his weapon immediately and fell to one knee. Then another guard did the same. Then another. Within seconds, the entire room was kneeling before Ethan. Ethan stood frozen, completely confused. "Wait, what did I say?" he whispered, but no one answered. A trembling alien diplomat leaned close to him and whispered in broken English, You spoke the bond word. It cannot be taken back." "The bond word?" Ethan repeated. But before he could ask more, the Queen raised her hand. A golden light formed around them, circling both of them in a ring. It looked like living fire, but it did not burn. The Queen's voice echoed softly, but her tone carried power that shook the walls. "He has spoken the vow," she said. "Before the Empire, before the stars." The hall exploded with sound, gasps, cries, and whispers. Ethan backed away, but the ring of light moved with him. No, I did not mean," he started. But his voice was drowned out by the strange hum rising in the air. The Queen extended her hand. "You have called me your life binder," she said. "And the law of the stars is binding." Ethan's mind raced. He had no idea what life binder meant, but it did not sound like something that could be undone easily. The alien delegation from Earth looked horrified. One of them whispered to another, "Oh no, that word means eternal union. It's marriage under their cosmic law." Ethan felt sick. "This is a mistake," he said quickly. "It was a misunderstanding." But the Queen tilted her head slightly, studying him. Her expression was unreadable, neither anger nor amusement. She took one slow step closer, her golden aura brightening until Ethan had to shield his eyes. Then she said something he never expected. "No one touches my chosen." The guards around the room bowed deeper. Some pressed their foreheads to the floor. Ethan stood shaking, unsure if he should run or kneel or apologize again. The Queen looked at him as if she were seeing something ancient hidden in his soul. For a moment he thought he felt something, like a pulse inside his chest that was not his own heartbeat. It was slower, deeper, and it felt alive. The Queen turned to her council. "From this moment," she declared, "the human called Ethan Cole stands under royal protection. He is of my house. He is the Empire's consort." The diplomats from Earth protested immediately, but their words were lost in the roar of alien chants rising through the hall. Ethan's name echoed through the golden chamber, mixed with the Queen's title. Guards surrounded him, not to arrest him but to protect him. As he was led away, Ethan caught one last look at the Queen. She was watching him, her expression calm but filled with something strange, perhaps curiosity, perhaps fate. Her eyes glowed brighter for a brief second, and in that moment, Ethan heard a voice in his mind. It was not his own. It said only one word: bound. Ethan stumbled as he left the hall, his world spinning. He had only come to fix a translation glitch. Now he was married to the most powerful alien in the galaxy. He looked back at the palace doors closing behind him and whispered to himself, "What have I done?" The next morning, Ethan woke to the sound of a soft hum coming from the walls. The room was enormous, bright, and made of smooth silver stone that pulsed with faint light. He sat up slowly, trying to remember where he was. The last thing he remembered was being escorted out of the royal hall after his humiliating mistake. Now he was lying on a bed that looked carved out of living crystal. Guards stood outside the open doorway, their armor glowing faintly blue. He ran a hand through his hair. "Okay, dream or nightmare?" he muttered. But it felt too real. The air, the sound, the faint warmth in his chest that still pulsed like another heartbeat. Before he could think further, a tall alien with pale markings on his face stepped inside. "Consort Ethan," he said formally. Ethan blinked. "Consort what?" The alien bowed slightly. "Her Majesty requests your presence." Ethan stood up, still dizzy. "Look, you have the wrong guy. I'm not anyone's anything. I just said a word wrong." "The word you spoke cannot be undone," the alien interrupted calmly. "The law of Vyloria is older than our sun. When the Queen is called Lifebinder, the bond is sealed through the threads of the stars themselves." Ethan sighed. "You people really take words seriously." He followed the guard down a long hallway where walls shimmered with floating runes. Every step felt heavier, not just from fear but from the strange feeling inside him. He could feel something alive, like invisible energy flowing through his chest. When they reached the great doors of the Queen's chamber, they opened on their own. Queen Serath stood at the balcony, looking out over her empire. The city below stretched endlessly, towers glowing like fireflies beneath a golden sky. Her long cloak shimmered as if woven from light itself. When she turned, Ethan's breath caught. Her golden eyes glowed softer this time, not cold, but curious. "You are awake," she said quietly. "Yeah," Ethan replied, rubbing the back of his neck. "I guess I am. And I'm sorry about yesterday. I didn't mean to, whatever that word meant. It was a mistake." The Queen tilted her head slightly as if she were listening to something distant. "The stars do not make mistakes," she said. "The bond word chose you," Ethan frowned. "The bond word chose me?" "Oh, I just mispronounced it." Her lips curved faintly, not quite a smile, but close. "Do you believe the universe is that careless?" Before Ethan could answer, a faint golden thread appeared between them, glowing in the air. It pulsed once, matching the strange rhythm inside his chest. Ethan stepped back in alarm. "What is that?" "The link," she said softly. "You feel it, do you not? When you spoke the bond word, it tied a part of your spirit to mine. I can sense your heartbeat even now." Ethan felt cold. "You're saying I'm connected to you?" "Yes, until death or the stars fade." He shook his head. "No, I'm just an engineer. I came here to fix your translation system, not to marry a queen." Serath studied him quietly. "And yet the stars saw fit to bind us. Perhaps they found something in you that this empire needs." Ethan wanted to argue, but when he looked at her, something deep inside him calmed. Her presence was powerful, but there was sadness too, hidden beneath her calm mask. For a brief second, he saw an image flash in his mind, a battlefield. Endless darkness, the Queen standing alone among fallen soldiers. Then it vanished. He gasped. "What was that?" "You saw what I see when I sleep," she said softly. "The bond shares fragments of memory. You are beginning to feel it." Ethan took a step back, his voice trembling. "Then break it, please. There has to be a way." She looked away, her tone quiet but firm. "If I sever it, both of us will die." The silence between them grew heavy. Outside, the sound of alien horns echoed across the city, signals of unrest. The Queen's face hardened. "Already the High Council questions this union," she said. "They see you as a threat to our order. A human consort is unthinkable," Ethan frowned. "So they want me gone?" "They want you erased," she said flatly. "But you are under my protection. No one will harm you while I breathe." For a moment her eyes softened again. "You should understand, Ethan. I have ruled for 200 years. I have seen countless wars, betrayals, and lies, yet no one ever dared to speak that word to me. You did. Whether by fate or mistake, you have bound yourself to the throne of Valoria. Ethan felt trapped between fear and disbelief. He had spent his whole life fixing machines, not dealing with alien royalty or ancient magic, but something inside him whispered that this was bigger than he understood. Suddenly, the queen staggered slightly. The golden glow around her dimmed for a second. Ethan instinctively stepped forward. "Are you all right?" She steadied herself and nodded faintly. "The bond is still new. It drains my strength to stabilize it." "Your human spirit resists the flow." Ethan's eyes widened. "So I'm hurting you?" She looked at him, her gaze softer now. "No, you are changing me." Guards entered suddenly, kneeling. One spoke quickly in their language. The queen's expression darkened. "There was an attempt on your life last night," she said, her voice low. "Rebels entered the palace. They wish to kill the unworthy human before the bond completes its cycle." Ethan's stomach twisted. "So this is really happening. They'll keep coming, won't they?" "Yes," she said, "until they understand what the stars have chosen." She took a step closer. "From now on, you will stay near me. Wherever I go, you will go." Ethan looked at her uncertainly. "And if I refuse?" Her golden eyes brightened again. Her voice firm but almost gentle. "Then the stars themselves will not allow it. You are already mine, Ethan Cole, and the galaxy will soon understand what that means." He felt the bond pulse again in his chest, stronger than before, as her words echoed through his mind. Somewhere deep inside, he sensed that this was only the beginning, and that his mistake had just changed the fate of two worlds forever. For the first time in his life, Ethan Cole understood what it felt like to be hunted. Every corridor he walked through inside the Valorian palace seemed to have eyes. Eyes that glowed, followed, and whispered. The alien servants bowed respectfully when they saw him, but their stares carried something sharp, almost like hatred hidden behind courtesy. Since the accident in the throne hall, Ethan had been treated like someone sacred but unwanted. The queen's command protected him, but even she could not erase the fear spreading through her empire. The word human had never echoed in those walls before. Now it was a curse, a prophecy, and a threat. Ethan tried to stay out of sight, spending most of his time inside the royal chambers, studying the strange devices that powered the palace. His engineer's mind could not rest. The walls hummed with energy that felt alive, almost breathing. Sometimes when he touched them, he felt a faint pulse travel up his fingers and into the strange link inside his chest. That night, while he was examining one of the glowing panels, a shadow appeared behind him. It was the queen. Her gown shimmered faintly in the dim light, her golden eyes calm but tired. "You cannot sleep?" she asked softly. Ethan turned. "It's hard to sleep when half your body feels like it's plugged into a lightning storm." She smiled faintly. "The bond still grows. The core is adjusting to your presence." "The core?" he repeated. "The heart of Valoria," she said, walking closer. "The energy that sustains our cities and our skies. It listens only to the blood of the throne. But since the bond chose you, it listens to you as well." Ethan blinked. "Wait, you're saying this entire planet's power grid thinks I'm royal now?" "In a way," she said. "You have touched the living consciousness of the Empire. That is why they fear you." He stared at her, speechless. "I don't want power. I didn't ask for any of this." "Neither did I," she said quietly. "But duty does not ask what we want. It only demands what we must become." Before he could reply, the doors to the chamber burst open. Guards rushed in, shouting in Valorian. The queen's expression darkened instantly. "Speak," she commanded. The lead guard bowed. "Your Majesty, the outer districts rise in rebellion. The noble houses refuse to accept the human consort. They have joined with the War Council. They are marching toward the capital." The queen's hand tightened around the edge of her throne. The air in the room trembled with her power. "How many?" "Thousands," the guard answered. "And more joining by the hour." Ethan stood frozen, his stomach twisting. "They're coming here for me?" The queen's gaze turned toward him. "For both of us," she said. "But mostly you," he swallowed. "Great, that's comforting." She stepped closer. "Do not fear. I will not allow harm to come to you." "I appreciate that," Ethan said, his voice low. "But maybe your people won't care about your promise. They think I'm some kind of threat." Her eyes glowed brighter. "They are wrong. They do not see what I see. She raised her hand, and the walls of the chamber transformed into a vast holographic map showing the planet. Glowing red lines spread across the image like cracks in glass. "The rebellion grows faster than I expected," she said. "They move toward the core to claim the throne. What happens if they take it?" Ethan asked. "The core obeys only those it recognizes," she said. "But now it also listens to you. If they destroy you, the entire system will collapse. Millions will die." Ethan felt his blood run cold. "So now it's not just about me. It's about the whole planet." "Yes," she said. "Your mistake has become the Empire's destiny." Before Ethan could respond, the floor shook violently. A deep explosion echoed from somewhere below. The guards drew their weapons, shouting. The Queen's voice was calm but sharp. "They are inside the palace." She turned to Ethan. "Follow me." They ran through the corridors as the sound of blasters filled the air. Aliens in dark armor stormed the halls, their weapons glowing red. Guards loyal to the Queen fought them fiercely, their energy blades clashing in bursts of light. Ethan stayed close to Serath as she led him through hidden paths behind the throne chamber. The air grew hotter, thicker, filled with smoke and the scent of burning crystal. At last they reached a deep chamber filled with strange machines. In the center stood a large sphere made of shimmering light. It pulsed slowly like a giant heart. "This is the core," Serath said. "Touch it." Ethan hesitated. "Why?" "Because it already knows you," she said. "It may protect us." He stepped closer, the light growing brighter as he raised his hand. The moment his skin touched the surface, his mind filled with voices, thousands of whispers overlapping. He saw visions of the city, the stars, the Queen's face, the energy of life flowing everywhere. The Queen's voice reached him faintly. "Focus, Ethan. Tell it to shield the palace." He took a deep breath. "Shield the palace," he said quietly. The sphere flared with light so bright it blinded him. A powerful wave of energy spread outward, shaking the entire palace. Outside, explosions stopped. The walls glowed with golden energy, sealing themselves like a living creature closing a wound. When the light faded, Ethan collapsed to his knees, gasping. What did I just do?" The Queen looked at him with awe. "You saved us," she said softly. "You commanded the heart of the Empire." He looked up, dazed. "Then why do I feel like this is only the beginning?" She lowered her gaze. "Because it is. They will not stop. And now they will fear you more than ever." Through the open ceiling, the night sky of Valoria burned with light from distant fires. The rebellion had begun. And for the first time, Ethan realized that the galaxy was not just watching him. It was waiting to see what kind of human he would become. The palace still trembled from the blast. Smoke filled the corridors and the golden light of the shield flickered as if the world itself was breathing in pain. Ethan stood beside the Queen, his heart pounding as alarms echoed through the halls. He had never imagined he would become part of something like this. A war, a rebellion, a story whispered between galaxies. But there was no time to think. The Queen's guards rushed to her side. "Your Majesty," one shouted, "the rebels have surrounded the outer dome. They have heavy cannons. They will break through the barrier soon." Queen Serath's eyes glowed faintly. "They will not," she said firmly. Her gaze turned toward Ethan. "The core still listens to you. You can feel it, can you not?" Ethan swallowed. "I don't know what I feel anymore. It's like something's burning inside my chest. It's alive. That is the bond," she said. "You and I are one thread in the same weave now. Through you, the core draws its strength." He looked down at his hands. A faint golden pattern had appeared on his skin, glowing softly. "What if it's too much?" he whispered, her voice softened. "Then you must learn to hold it. The stars chose you for a reason." Outside, another explosion shook the ground. Dust fell from the ceiling as the guards shouted in panic. Ethan turned toward the sound. He could see flashes of red light beyond the broken windows, rebels moving closer. "We can't stay here," he said. "They'll come straight for us." The Queen nodded. "Then we will meet them." Before Ethan could protest, she raised her hand and the golden energy around them expanded. The air rippled, the walls melted away, revealing the night sky filled with fire. Together they stepped out onto a high balcony overlooking the burning city. Thousands of rebels were gathering below, their banners raised, their weapons glowing like falling stars. Ethan felt the Queen's presence beside him, calm, strong, unshaken. Her voice echoed across the city through the palace speakers. "Sons and daughters of Valoria, she said, her tone powerful yet sorrowful. You stand against your own queen. You rise because of fear, fear of a single human who spoke one word. You fear what you do not understand. Her words rolled like thunder across the sky, but the rebels did not lower their weapons. Instead, one of the leaders shouted, "The bond has corrupted you. The human will destroy our kind." Ethan's chest burned suddenly. He felt anger, not his own but hers. The bond pulsed with her emotions, and his heartbeat matched hers. "Let me speak," he said quietly. Sarath turned to him, surprise flickering in her eyes, but she gave a small nod. Ethan stepped forward, the wind pushing against him. "You think I wanted this?" he shouted, his voice echoing through the amplifiers. "You think I came here to steal your throne? I'm just a man from a small world called Earth. I came here to fix a machine. I didn't even understand your language. But when I said that word, something heard it. Something greater than me, greater than all of us," the crowd murmured. He continued, his voice steady now. "On my world, we learned to survive against impossible odds. We built homes in storms. We crossed oceans without wings, and we looked at the stars long before we could reach them. We are small, but we never give up. And if you think killing me will save your empire, then you don't understand what it means to be human." The crowd went silent for a heartbeat. But then a blast hit the shield, breaking the silence with thunder. The barrier around the palace cracked. The rebels cheered and fired again. The queen's guards readied their weapons. Sarath looked at Ethan, her expression unreadable. "You spoke well," she said quietly. "But words alone will not stop them." The golden mark on Ethan's hands grew brighter. He could feel energy building inside him, raw and burning. "Then tell me what to do." She reached out and placed her hand over his chest. "Let it flow," she whispered. "Through you, not against you. The core listens to the bond, and the bond listens to your heart." He closed his eyes. The world disappeared. He could hear everything. The hum of the core, the screams of soldiers, the heartbeat of the queen beside him. The energy inside him surged like a wave. He raised his hands instinctively, and the air exploded with light. A golden storm erupted from the balcony, spreading outward in every direction. The blasts from the rebels vanished in midair. The energy wrapped around the palace like wings of fire. The soldiers stopped fighting, frozen in awe as the light swept through them. When the glow faded, the battlefield was silent. Weapons lay scattered. The rebels stared up at the palace, their eyes wide with fear and wonder. Ethan gasped, his knees weak. What was that?" "The will of the bond," Sarath said softly. "You called upon the power of life itself. You did what no Valorian ever could." He looked at her, his voice trembling. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone." "You did not," she said. "You only reminded them what it means to kneel before the stars." Below, one by one, the rebels dropped to their knees. The sight made Ethan's heart twist. He had never wanted this power. He had only wanted to survive. Yet now, thousands bowed to him as if he were something divine. The queen's golden eyes softened. "They will remember this night," she said quietly. "The night a human defied the stars." Ethan looked out across the silent city. Smoke drifted into the sky, glowing under the twin moons. Somewhere deep inside, he felt the bond pulse again. Steady, strong, alive. He turned to Sarath. "What happens now?" She looked toward the horizon, where the fires of rebellion still burned. "Now," she said, "we rebuild. But remember, Ethan Cole, every empire that bows to power will one day test it again. And when that day comes, you will have to decide who you really are. A man or something more." Ethan felt the weight of her words. The stars seemed closer now, almost watching. He did not know what destiny awaited him, but he knew one thing for certain. He was no longer just a visitor from Earth. He was part of something vast, dangerous, and unstoppable, and the galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. Days passed since the night of the great battle, but the city of Vyloria still carried the scars. The sky was darker, the towers burned, and the air shimmered faintly with leftover energy from the storm Ethan had unleashed. Across the empire, the story had already spread. A human had called the queen his wife, fought the rebellion with her power, and survived what no alien ever had. Some called him a blessing. Others called him a curse. Ethan sat alone on the edge of the royal balcony, watching the sunrise stretch over the wounded city. Golden light touched every broken tower, every scar, and for a moment it looked almost peaceful. He still could not believe any of it was real. He had come here as an engineer, not a leader. Yet now the entire galaxy seemed to know his name. He rubbed his hands together, staring at the faint golden markings that still glowed softly on his skin. They were part of him now. The bond had changed everything, his body, his thoughts, even his heartbeat. Sometimes when he closed his eyes, he could hear the Queen's voice echo faintly in his mind. Not words, just emotion, a calm, distant and warm. The door behind him opened. Queen Sereth stepped out quietly. Her gown shimmered in the new light, her face pale from exhaustion but still graceful, still strong. Ethan turned to face her, and for a moment neither spoke. "You should rest," she said softly. "Your energy has not yet settled." Ethan smiled faintly. "I could say the same to you." She walked closer and stood beside him. The morning wind lifted her hair, glowing faintly gold like the rising sun. "The council has gathered," she said. "They wait for my word on the future of our empire." "And what will you tell them?" Ethan asked quietly. "That the era of fear is over," she said. "That our kind can no longer pretend to be perfect, untouched by other lives." "You reminded them that strength does not come from blood but from will." He sighed. "Half the galaxy still hates me, you know. I've read the reports. Some of your generals want me gone. They think I poisoned you with human weakness." The Queen turned toward him, her expression unreadable. "Weakness?" she repeated softly. "When you faced an army alone and still stood? When you spoke truth instead of lies? No, Ethan Cole. You gave my people something I could not. The reminder that courage is not bound to a species." He looked away, trying not to show the emotion in his eyes. "I never wanted to be anyone's symbol." "I know," she said gently. "That is why you became one." The silence that followed was heavy but not cold. Down below, workers and soldiers repaired the city side by side, no longer divided by rank or house. The rebellion had left deep wounds, but something had shifted. A sense that things might actually change. The Queen looked out at her city. "They bow to me because of tradition," she said. "But now when they bow, they also bow to you." Ethan frowned. "I don't want them bowing to me. I'm not their god." Her golden eyes met his. "No, but you are their reminder that gods can bleed and still rise again." Before he could respond, a guard entered and knelt. "Your Majesty, the council is ready." Sereth nodded. "Send word," she said, "that the human consort will stand beside me." The guard hesitated only a moment before bowing again. "As you command." When he left, Ethan looked at her with a half-smile. "Consort? I'll never get used to that, you will," she said softly. "The galaxy already has." They walked together into the Grand Council Hall. Thousands of alien nobles filled the chamber, their voices low and tense. When Ethan entered beside the Queen, the hall fell silent. All eyes turned toward the human who had defied their rebellion. Some looked afraid, others curious. A few bowed. Queen Sereth stood at the center, her presence calm but commanding. "My people," she began, her voice echoing through the vast room. "We have lived too long under the shadow of our own pride. We built an empire on the belief that we were chosen alone, but the stars remind us again and again that life is not bound by one form, one race, or one destiny." Her gaze shifted to Ethan. This human did not seek power, yet the stars answered his voice. The core obeyed his will. The bond did not destroy us. It saved us. Murmurs filled the room, but no one dared interrupt. Ethan felt the weight of her words. He had no speech prepared, no idea what to say. But something inside told him to speak. He took a small step forward. "I don't know what your future holds," he said simply. "But where I come from, we believe in second chances. We make mistakes. We learn. We keep going. Maybe that's what your empire needs. Not a god, not a ruler, but a chance to start again." The hall was silent for a long time. Then slowly the nobles began to bow, one after another, a wave of movement sweeping through the chamber like wind over water. Ethan's heart raced. He turned to Sereth, but she was already watching him. Her eyes were bright, almost human in that moment. When the last noble lowered their head, she spoke again. "Then let this be written," she said. "From this day forward, humanity and Valoria stand as one. The bond between our worlds will not be of fear or command, but of choice and unity." Ethan could hardly breathe. The golden light in the hall glowed brighter, like the stars themselves were listening. Later that night, as the city lights flickered back to life, Ethan stood once more on the balcony. The Queen joined him quietly. They did not speak for a while. The stars stretched endless above them, vast, silent, eternal.